And it gets to a point where it is absolutely its own thing. Mm-hmm. And that's not always great.
You don't want it off the leash.
It can get off the leash. It can get off the leash pretty easily, buddy.
What's up, guys, and welcome to Drinks on Me, the show where we unravel the hospitality industry. And today we have Mike from Limoncello here. Thanks for being here, brother.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks very much, buddy.
It's been good seeing you come in the last few weeks and, see what Hawk is all about. And I'm glad we got to meet because I know your story is plentiful, and it's been a long time coming. 20 years of running Limoncello, and I think you got something to say. So, cheers for being here.
Thanks, buddy.
Today we're going to be making the raspberry and limoncello martini. And we'll rattle it off.
Yep.
Here's your cocktail shaker, mate. We'll start with 4 or 5, depending how strong you like it, raspberries. I'm gonna chuck in 5, I'd say. Boom.
I'm going 4.
You're going 4? All right, we'll taste them both. They'll be the same. 15 mils of lemon juice to start. Boom. I'm gonna do that one. Get the vodka ready. I wasn't going to give you the crap, so I decided we'll shout you with the Belvedere today, mate.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a nice little showing of the quality of limoncello. It shows the quality of limoncello. We ain't serving Smirnoff there for sure. We're going to go 30 mils of the vodka. Comes out quick in the long bottle. Eat one of them in the meantime. Done this before, Mikey, man. Beautiful. And then we've got 45 mils, so just to that line in the center there.
Sure.
Of limoncello. Glug, 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 boom. There we go. I'm gonna start by muddling these raspberries as well. The flavor's released, the juice is expressed. Boom. You want to give that a muddle when you're ready, mate?
Thanks, buddy.
No worries. I'll get the glasses. We're just going to be rimming it with sugar today. Very basic rim, but I think with the lime and the sugar, it kind of, it resembles limoncello in itself. It's a sweet sour. It's a sweet tartness to it, so we'll do a bit of that. Boom. That is the way. Alright. Dunk that sucker. Beautiful. Now, grab our ice. There we go. Now, I don't know if you've got a shaking technique. You shake it however you like. Boom.
How's it done, buddy?
Well, before we do it, we'll hit it in. We don't want it all over you, mate. We don't want it falling all over you. Just shake it how you like. I'll shake it how you do it. That's a weird shake. Shake forward. A bit dirty, mate. I think when you shake that way, it's a bit dirty, don't you? I think it looks a bit weird. All right. Now you just hit it on the side here lightly. Boom. Open her up. There we go. Well, I might need a support you on that one. One of those. Boom. There we go. We grab our strainers. Grab our strainer out. We'll share the same strainer. Just going to pour it in there. Get the chunks of raspberry out. Let the raspberry come. Garnish it with the raspberry. Beautiful. How about that, mate? Raspberry on top, and I'll do it for you as well. And that, Mikey, is the raspberry and limoncello martini. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Oh, I probably will take out the ice next time, but the flavour's there.
Yeah, that's pretty delicious, buddy.
Well, now that we got the cocktail, we're ready to go sit down and have a chat about Mike and his career. So, cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Guys, if you're just joining through Spotify now, welcome to the show. Today's guest is Mike from Limoncello in Sandringham. He also runs a few food trucks that go out to festivals during the festival season. And thanks for being here, Mike.
Hey, thanks very much for having me, buddy.
Awesome. Anytime. So, just want to start at the beginning of your career. Where did this love for hospitality and this passion for hospitality come from?
Yeah, buddy. Look, it's an interesting one. I turned 56 this year. That's 40 years in the industry. So I started off as a 16-year-old, little suburban boy, found my way into a kitchen out in North Melbourne, moved out of home, and just absolutely jumped into it head first. And absolutely loved it. It was a little cafe called Cafe Quincino.
Yep.
My first head chef was a guy called Angelo Sinelli.
Okay.
Big Italian guy, big beard. Used to wear Chanel No. 5 in the kitchen, Hermes scarves, and he was kind of the perfect restaurateur of that era. You know, he was charismatic. He sort of knew everybody. He sort of knew something about everybody. He was able to extend himself into people's sort of kind of personal life. So in I went, and
I noticed, there's a lot of pasta that's actually served at Limoncello. Do you reckon that kind of love for pasta was stemmed from that experience down at the cafe?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's interesting that, all these years later, almost what we did then is kind of what's really in vogue now. So maybe somewhere in between it came back again. People talk about cycles and, when things are cool and not cool and making sure you're on the right side of that. But definitely that sort of, I think intrinsically Italian food, community, local, cafe is all sort of kind of ties in so nicely with the family and breaking bread and that sort of thing. So I'm not surprised that it's really kind of lifted or raised its head again.
Well, that's a beautiful way of explaining community. We're talking off camera before about, what the community really means, and, it is a family, at its essence, and, that's a beautiful actually kind of analogy is thinking of like a good Italian family that, is love and share and, openness to anyone that's included and around the area. And I guess that's what, when I think of the community around the hospitality industry, that's what I envision. That's what I want the hospitality to hold, is that openness, that acceptance, and really the passion for the food and the drinks as well. And I guess when you think of your classic Italian family, nonna and nonno in the kitchen, cooking up some nice pasta for the family and, welcoming anyone, that's what I think about when I think about the hospitality career or industry. When you opened Limoncello in 2001, where were you kind of envisioning it, or were you kind of just going with the flow at the time? Were you thinking, oh, well, I'll just play it by ear, or I've got this big dream for Limoncello? What was it like?
Yeah, wow, it's interesting. It's interesting to think back too, because, for me, no one in my family had even been in business. Yeah.
Wow.
No one in my wife's family had been in business. So if you look back, I probably had no right to do it. I'd worked hard, I'd saved some money, I got some support through my wife and my wife's family, and we sort of off we went.
Wow.
So the idea was, interestingly, that it would have been a nighttime venue. Sort of every chef of my ilk sort of wanted to own Ciccioline. So the equipment was set up to do nights.
Wow.
The business plan was to set up to do nights. I'd sort of come out of the casino at some stage, so 2000.
The casino?
Yeah, so I had a role there as chef de cuisine. So previous to that, I had worked out at Eighton on Yarra, which is Rochford on Eighton now.
Huh. I don't know that venue.
Big, massive winery. When we were there, we had done very well. We'd won some tourism awards, and that was exciting. That took me off to the casino. That really wasn't the right move for me, but it was the move I made.
Mm-hmm.
a thing that sort of occurred or was reoccurring through my career up until that point was the old chef that had never done it. You know, I could have been great. I would have done it really well. And I never wanted to be that guy. So much so that I kind of almost opened Limoncello to do it, to fall over and to get it out of my system. So I'd opened up this venue. Like most people in business, was probably underfunded. Definitely didn't really understand completely what it was about.
Yep, most businesses are like that.
Scrap together whatever I could, secondhand, new, stretch my money. Got enormous support from other people that were in business, whether that be the sign writer or a carpenter or somebody that wanted to get me going.
Yep.
So I did it because I didn't want to not do it.
That's an amazing mindset going into business, I think. And I think not enough people take that mindset. You're right. People go into it expecting to be this and that, I'm going to open this and just be this immediately. But having that predisposed mindset of I'm willing to fall on my face and get back up and learn from my mistakes is something that should be the norm. And I think that's really impressive that you were able to go into the business with that mindset, that predisposed idea, because most people fall on their face regardless.
Yeah, well, I mean, in hindsight, I'm glad that I didn't. And in hindsight, I'm glad that I didn't just tear up all that money. But interestingly, the idea was still malleable enough that when people walked in the door with their kids and their prams and were like, it's a cafe. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, it's a cafe. Mike, you're opening up a cafe. I was like, yeah, cool. Mm-hmm. And then we completely 180'd and just went, we're a cafe.
Beautiful. And over the years, you would have you've created a completely different mindset about idea of what your business is and what Limoncello means to the community and how it's kind of transformed itself. I feel like a business and a venue, it has its own life. It's not necessarily, you can't control its life. It's its own almost individual person that takes itself on its own journey. So if you were to look from an outsider's point of view right now on Limoncello and think in 2023, if I'm explaining what Limoncello is to a friend, how would you explain that?
Wow. That's a really interesting way to frame it. I mean, it is absolutely its own thing. Yeah. So it was given birth. We pushed it off. I thought it would be one thing. It became another. But what it really is now, I guess, is in part a machine, a monster, an entity that's been created by all the people that have been there, have contributed, the lessons that have been learned. But most importantly, it's about the customers that have come and what they've wanted from us, what they've contributed to the process. It gets to a point where it is absolutely its own thing. Mm-hmm. And that's not always great.
You don't want it off the leash.
It can get off the leash. It can get off the leash pretty easily, buddy. And it at different times can find itself out of step too. You could be, the one that's setting the pace, and you could then turn around and find that you've actually need to sharpen up where you're at and what you're doing.
Are there any... That's a great segue into the next question I wanted to ask was, how do you keep pace? How do you... Have a drink, mate. I don't want to stop you from having a drink. How do you keep pace and, how do you keep up with the ball? How do you roll with the punches? How do you continue to stay ahead of the game or keep up with it? Because after so long... I'm sure the world evolves in its own ways, and there's things. For example, technology is this big thing that's happening at the moment, and opening a venue in 2001 with little to no technology, probably compared to what it is now. How do you adapt?
Well, there's quite a few little questions.
Sorry. Go in whichever direction you want with that.
I mean, technology is a really interesting one because it is not my natural game at all. So, I have a healthy disrespect for it, but I understand how important it is. Socials, we'll put that aside for a minute, but just things like point of sale system and how that operates and what it needs. We also use Uber. That's its own kind of demon, but it is a necessary evil. But, making sure that that's all operating on a day-to-day basis, making sure that we understand it, making sure that we're putting the information into it well enough that we
educating yourself as well.
100%. But I mean, interestingly, a little story or a little idea that just popped into mind was we started off with a till,
Yep.
old-fashioned till.
Yep.
Handwritten dockets, triplicate copies, one in the kitchen, one in the bar, one stayed in the pad just in case there was a problem. And I had a really good customer who has become a really good friend over that long period of time. And he just sort of pulled me aside, and he had definitely been in family business. And he's like, every time I come in here, Mikey, I'm paying a little bit different. Sometimes it's $14.50, sometimes it's $14, sometimes it's $15.
Interesting.
And he's like, but I'm frightened that you're not getting that little extra. And I was like, oh, wow. Anyway, a point of sale system, which I still have, was like $8,000 time. That was like a king's ransom. And I was like, fuck, I don't know that I can quite afford that, And he was like, I tell you what, I'll lend you the money. Now, as it turned out, thank God for hire purchase or, whatever it was that it got whacked on a credit card.
Yep.
But I think what I took from that one was how generous that offer was, but more importantly, how important what he was saying to me was, that we had to make sure that we were in tune and got it right. In terms of,
social media.
We had a situation, a little thing called the pandemic time. You'll remember where.
What's that?
Yeah, it was quite a moment.
I missed that one.
Yeah, it was quite a moment, buddy. But we had a situation where through JobKeeper, whatever the first round was, and we had fantastic student in Zoe who was a graphic designer. We had Heathy, who was a photographer, my own daughter Lily, who was in advertising, and Chloe, who was just this maestro at sort of punching stuff out. And we were just smashing it. But it occurred to me, there's a photo somewhere on my phone that I took of those guys just sitting there punching this stuff out. And it's really interesting because we were talking before that you almost need to have that sort of team.
It's beautiful.
To be able to communicate to the wider audience at the moment.
Yep. Personal brand, as we say in every episode, personal brand is the future of success in my belief. And I think that building that personal brand is going to sort of solidify yourself in the future of the hospitality world. And if you don't jump on the wave whilst it's about to crash now, it could be too late. And you've just got to do it. You've just got to spend those man hours either educating yourself or, maybe finding someone who can help your friend or a family member who understands the scape, and just getting into it and just like posting things. If you, as I said in the off the camera before as well, we need to post things on Instagram so that people can see it, because once they see this nice sandwich, this nice cocktail, this nice meal that they have online in a picture, they want that. They're not going to go onto they go onto your website, they say, oh, this place might have a 1-star review, but they've already seen this awesome sandwich. They're still going to jump out and go and try that bloody sandwich because it looks great on social media. And I think that that's the essence. That's the essence of what social media really is to me, is this powerful, this powerful kind of device or machine that can convince an audience of a product. And can convince an audience of a venue with stature and with, professionalism. And I find it so important, man. I find it so important. And look, you've got Limoncello. I saw on your Instagram. I did some I've looked up your Instagram. I've checked it out. And going back to 2013 when you first started it, you guys got on the ball pretty early. And it's funny to see how the growth of the Instagram has kind of come through from the edited pictures in 2013 that no one really cared too much about. Sure. And everyone just wanted to see this nice picture or whatever. But to now, you're actually selling like a viable product on there. It's not just show and tell, it's show and sell. It's like you're showing and selling the product through the Instagram before they've even bought it. And yeah, that's basically my mindset about social media.
I think also interestingly, Tommy, that it's also maybe about what you repost, or it's about what you stand for. Because I think what you're also doing is you're communicating what it is you guys stand for. Yeah? Good buddy of mine, he's got a little saying about if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. So at some point you've actually got to say, this is what we're about. Don't make it political. You know, we don't need that. But this is what we're about. This is who we are, and you might find yourself very comfortable in our community.
Thank you for saying that, because that is it as well. You know, what you said, reposting things, even if it's not your content.
Yeah.
You know, reposting a meme or, you know, a joke or, you know, a lighthearted product, or maybe like something that you're passionate about, maybe about the environment or the products that you get, the equipment that you use. It creates a whole atmosphere for the business. It doesn't just show and sell. It also it shows what your business is all about.
Yep.
It proudly states that, you know, this is who we are. This is our. It almost shows the heart of the business. It's almost like a keyhole to the heart of the business. It shows what you're all about. Applehead Deli does it really well.
Dennis does it very well.
Dennis and Liz, they do it beautifully.
Absolutely.
You know, they post their own products. They post their memes. They make videos. And it just, you know, the feeling of those videos really resonates with the feeling you get at the venue. And, you know, that's what hospitality and that's what the social media scape is also about, for sure. Now, I wanted to move on quickly to the food trucks.
Yep.
I wanted to know a bit more about the food trucks that you run. I understand that you have recently, or in the last few years, opened food trucks and started doing, you know, festivals. And I just wanted to know how you kind of got into that world as well.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe 12, 13 years ago, something like that.
Oh, shit. Excuse me.
Hang on a second. No. I found myself going off into festivals. Okay. So I had a lady working for me at the time, Anne-Marie, who's a very good friend, and her brother was definitely, you know, a guy in that world that was a shaker. And he had this amazing little festival called Boogie. And the four guys that had this. And I said, I want to go and do that. And she's like, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, no, I want to do that. And then I got there. Oh, there was a little bit of, you know, does he really want to do it? Don't know. And anyway, we got the call up. You're coming. So we're going.
Wow.
So off we went. And interestingly, I came at it from a very chefy kind of logistics, catering, events background. And so off we went. And I just saw this whole other world, and it really spoke to me. I really enjoyed it. I met some amazing people. Many of those people now are very, very good friends, and I still move in that particular world. So within the festival world, there's different little tribes, and, you know, I'm happily involved in my little tribe.
Yep.
So that very first one, we worked out of this crazy thing called the Clubhouse, and that was great. And
so you didn't yet have a truck?
Didn't yet have a truck. A friend of mine, Raf, he had just got his second food truck, which was the very first taco truck. And he'd already
the very first taco truck.
The very first taco truck. And he'd already had Beak Box Kitchen. And so BK1. So he had that. I saw these things on, you know, there's kitchens on wheels. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. And we struck up a friendship, which we still have today, which is amazing. But I kept pursuing this sort of idea. Now, I think you only get so many opportunities in your life to put up a marquee and pull it down. It's just too much hard work. So food trucks are this amazing vessel, instrument, opportunity to be able to get there, get it done. Mm-hmm. You can communicate so much with it. Mm-hmm. So I was off in festival world, and somewhere in the pandemic again, Raf looked to retire BBK1. I said, I'll grab it. One of its problems was it was manual. Not everyone can drive a manual, and I'm old enough that I can.
It's not often you'd think that would be a defining point in the hospitality industry, whether you can drive
whether you can
manual.
use a clutch or not. Yeah. So I ended up with it, and for the most part, so Limoncello has its own food truck. It also has its own little bar cart. We have a caterer's license that allows us to do those sort of things.
Cool.
Now, for the most part, that goes off and does things like weddings, significant birthdays. You know, we can turn up on your farm, we can pull up out the front of your house, and we can get it done, and we can get it done in a really timely fashion, in a very efficient fashion, and off we go. But somewhere in between there too, young guy Matt, who's not so young guy anymore, he was working...
Sorry, Matt, if you're listening to this.
We had got together at some stage and we started this little coffee van, and then he went off to pitch and he saw this bigger coffee van, and then he's like, we're going to get this thing. And I'm like, you can do it. You don't need to invite me. And he's like, no, we're doing it. And so we brought this thing, and of course that's taken us all over the place. And we've done things like pitch and rainbow and everything in between.
How do you get into those festivals? How do you kind of solidify your name? And is it just like who you know?
I guess there's an element of that. I mean, we were lucky enough that this van was already a part of this community. What was really special about this particular van, which is Royal Road Coffee, is
Road Coffee, okay.
Yeah, we brought it off Ned, and Ned and his crew are still very much a part of it. So we only ever see ourselves as a custodian of it.
Okay.
It's doing its first gig this weekend for this season. We probably won't do as many gigs as we did in previous years.
Yeah, all right.
But, I mean, you know, if you want to talk about community, you know, when you see people who have found their own tribe, and whether there be 2,000 of them or 22,000 of them, it's, you know, it's really an amazing thing.
The thing I love about food trucks is the fact that you can, you know, for example, you're working at the same... If I was working here like I am at Hawker Bar, and I'm doing the same thing, you know, evolving the business, helping the business work in the same place all the time, the beauty with food trucks is that you can have a different experience every single day you move out to a different place, different customers, different landscape. You know, it's just different people around your business. It's just beautiful, and it's an ever-evolving kind of world, the food trucks. And honestly, thinking about it after researching a bit about you and learning a bit about the food truck industry, it's something that I've actually been it's opened my mind to thinking, damn, maybe I would like to do this one day. You know, maybe I would like to open a food truck and, you know, just evolve a brand around the town. You know, you don't need to be known as that bar down in southeast Melbourne or that cafe down in Sandringham. You can be known as Limoncello. You can be known as the Hawker truck, whatever it may be. And I think that's a beautiful aspect of it.
Yeah, I think particularly, Tom, when you look at some of the amazing locations you go to, I mean, you touched upon it. We went and did one called Chihuahua Town at the Winton Wetlands.
Sounds cool.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
But it's just spectacular. There's all these sort of ghosty kind of trees in this swamp, and it's like amazing.
It's funny you say swamp. When you said that at the start, I was thinking swamp. I was looking at Shrek right there in my head.
Yeah, possibly. But if not for being in that world, you're not there. Because in hospitality, traditionally, you don't find that time to jump in a car, drive 4 hours to the middle of nowhere. Whereas this is hospitality that does take you out that way.
That's fucking sick. That is awesome. That is awesome. And that's exactly a big problem. And that's why so many people leave the industry, because they feel like they can't live freely. They can't, you know, do what they might want to do on the Saturday and Sunday that they want to do on the Saturday and Sunday. And I guess that this could be an entrance point or a way to be able to do both. You know, whether your love is strong for bartending or coffee making for the people who are waking up in the morning after a festival, the opportunities are endless at festivals. And I think the food trucks are a definite gateway towards it.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that, you know, working in hospitality, I think there's this idea that it's limiting. It really isn't. You know, there's Australian chefs, bartenders, coffee makers are respected all around the world. You know, you can travel and do this. You can do it for a short period of time. A lot of people are coming back to it, which is interesting. You know, a lot of people are missing the fun I mean, hospitality at its, at its essence is fun, I mean, I popped in here the other day and you're all so excited because you've done so many spritzes and you're telling me all about it and you were absolutely jazzed about it,
True.
Yeah, so we kind of got to get back to that. And I think, there is this whole everybody's, jumping ship. Now, it's a bit like, the party game with the chairs. It's sooner or later I feel that people are going to come back into our world. And they're going to come back for the right reasons, and that is to come back, enjoy it, break bread with people, enjoy the process, enjoy that community.
It's lost. This I feel like this industry is gets a bad name for being a dead end career, and I think that that's something that we want to change as a brand at Drinks on Me. Is the fact that it's not. There's so many opportunities in this industry, whether it's directly being on the floor or managing a bar or running a bar, being a bartender, whatever it may be. There's so many opportunities for each person, and I think that I think that everyone should understand that this industry is beautiful, and that what you might think from the outside of the industry is not true, and that there's definitely a career in this industry. And I mean, look at Mike. He's done it for 21 years, and look how happy he is. And his ability to talk and be passionate about it still is just proof. It's the cream of the creme. Showing that this industry is a viable career for people. And before we leave, I just want to ask if there is one bit of advice that you could provide some young generation of hospitality workers for opening their own venue, what would be that little bit of advice that you could give?
Look, I think, there's a lot, a lot.
Pick one, mate.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? Just back yourself. If that's what you want to do, and you will be absolutely swamped with people telling you what you should do, don't buy into that. Do exactly what it is that you set out to do. Now, if you fall over, you fall over. But you can't go about somebody else's idea. It's disingenuous. It doesn't really work. You've got to believe it. You've got to do what you do. And at the end of the day, if I think about my venue, for what we do well and what we don't do well, and for where we trip up and where our challenges are and all those sort of things, I mean, ultimately it's a reflection of what I'm trying to achieve or what I fall short on. But at the end of the day, we're doing our best to move forward. And I would say that to anyone starting out, stick to the idea.
Back yourself.
Back yourself, 100%.
Well, I think that's a great way to end the episode, guys. I think you should back yourself, and I agree with you. Everyone has the right to believe what they want and think how they want, and believe in themselves. So believe in yourself and do what you please, because with enough work and enough time, it'll happen. Mike, thanks for being here today, mate. It's been beautiful, and I think that our relationship is only right at the start. I think we've got plenty of years of friendship to come from this, and I really appreciate you being here.
Good job. Thanks very much, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. All right, cheers, guys. I'll see you on the next episode, all right? Peace.